We're back here with another video. Um, well, I decided to make a very interesting video today. We're going over some comparisons, some hypotheticals. We're gonna be imagining some stuff. And when I mean imagine, I mean making hypotheses, making inferences. Okay, enough of me yapping. As you can tell from the screen right now, GOAT versus champ, who wins? So basically in this video, we're gonna make for all 8 divisions, we're gonna do the current champ versus the GOAT. And we're gonna find out who would win. Obviously we'll be judging based off the prime, not the current state for the GOATs. Obviously the current champs are probably in their prime. But for the GOATs, a lot of these guys are retired, a lot of these guys are old, they're not really in their prime. So we're gonna be judging based off their prime because I think it's just fair. If we're comparing an old prime fighter to an old fighter, we already know that that's gonna end. But it's more interesting with their primes at least. And there will be some honorable mentions. Honestly, there were a lot of people I considered to be goats, but I didn't include them because honestly, it's the greatest of all time. It's a one thing. Like there can't be multiple goats, but there are honorable mentions, and I might compare. I might make hypotheticals for them too. And lastly, this is the most important one for all you soft MMA fans right there. This is just my opinion. If you disagree, if you think that this is the GOAT, this is not the GOAT, feel free to leave a comment. But this is my opinion. Don't call me a casual just because I didn't say something you like. I think there's a lot of that going around. A lot of people saying, "Oh, you were casual for not agreeing with me," and it would be like a take like, "Oh, Bilal Muhammad's better than GSP." Like, dude, I'm not a casual. You're just retarded. Okay, enough of the jokes. Let's get on with it. We're starting with flyweight, and also I'm not gonna do the women's divisions just because I just could give less of a fuck. So yeah. Next we got flyweight. So obviously the current champ is Pantoja, but the flyweight GOAT will obviously have to go to Demetrius Johnson. There's really no other person who's matched up to his level, and I don't think Pantoja has yet, but he is getting there. Now, this is actually a very interesting fight. A lot of people are saying DJ would easily win this, and I honestly would beg to differ. I would not really see this being an easy fight for DJ. Just because, DJ is a very good grappler, he's a very good wrestler, he has good striking, really good Muay Thai. But honestly, Pantoja's a tough guy. Because this guy's really good on the ground. Pantoja can submit anyone. And, he's cleared his division and he's faced better competition than DJ. I have to say, he's faced better competition. DJ wasn't having the Morenos and the Figueiredos and the Capes and the Royvals in his division. He didn't have that. His competition, frankly, wasn't really that good. There was Benavidez, there was Dodson. There was also Henry Cejudo as well, who would later become a flyweight champion. But apart from that, it's like everyone else is like, there were a lot of them were deserving contenders. It's just that it was just obvious DJ was the levels above them. And for Pantoja, this man beat Perez, he beat Cape, he beat Moreno before, and he beat Royval before, and then he took the title from Moreno, he beat Royval, he beat Urseg, and then he beat Asakura, which honestly, they're pretty solid names. Like, Urseg was giving him a good fight, and I think Urseg, he would get starstruck by Kai Kara France, but honestly, Pantoja already beat KKF, so in an Ultimate Fighter, I don't think it really counts. I would love to see a rematch, though. But, I'm going off topic. We're obviously going to be talking about, okay, how would this fight go? And honestly, I think this would be a very competitive fight. I think Pantoja has the skills to really threaten DJ on the ground. I wouldn't say he would submit DJ, but I think that there would be some good scrambles. These guys are honestly, in terms of skill, are pretty almost equal. I'd say DJ striking is a bit better though, just because Pantoja, he's kind of a scrappy guy. He's a brawler. But DJ is a lot more calculated in his strikes. He's a lot more slick. He has a better head movement. And I just think Pantoja takes a lot of shots. He has a really good chin, and he's seen it get tested. But, TJ could definitely hit him with a really good shot. Do I think he's going to knock him out, though? Probably not. I don't think he's gonna knock him out. I think this would be a very competitive fight. I think it would be a close one too. But I do see JJ having the success on the feet, and I think if this fight did happen in a 5 rounder, I think DJ would probably get a decision. I mean, I don't see DJ knocking out or submitting this guy. I don't see Pantoja really doing much either. And I'm talking about their primes. I mean, DJ in his prime was really good, but in Pantoja is also really good. I think a lot of people just don't give Pantoja a lot of respect, and it sucks. But if you look at their competition, it makes sense why Pantoja doesn't really like steamroll his opponents. Pantoja has had better competition than DJ. The flyweight division that Pantoja was competing in is way more skilled, way more competitive, and way more, I'd say, more top tier than DJ's. Like, that's just being honest. I'm not taking that away from DJ's legacy because 12 title defenses, I mean, no matter what division you have, is still pretty impressive. But it's clear Pantoja's competition was just way better, and he was still able to beat a lot of these guys and clear his division. So, I mean, this would be a very competitive fight. I just give it to DJ just because I think his striking is really good, and I think he would outstrike Pantoja. I think it'd be a very close one, maybe a split decision. But yeah, I'd definitely give it. I'd give it to TJ in his prime. I think it'd be a very close fight though. It'd be a very close fight, and I think both of these guys have the threat of finishing each other on the ground. But I don't see DJ ragdolling or knocking out this dude, and I don't see Pantoja knocking out or ragdolling this dude. Honestly, if I were to say if someone is more likely to finish the other, I'd say Pantoja is. Just because Pantoja, when he gets your back, it's like over for you. And if he got DJ's back, I think he could have submitted him. But, I mean, that's what we'll never know because DJ looked really good, but his competition wasn't stellar, you know? So, I mean, this would be a close fight. I'd give it to DJ just because I think he'll outstrike and outdamage Pantoja. Next, we got Bantamweight. As you can see, we got the honorable mentions. So we got Merab, he's the current champion. And then we got what I think is probably the Bantamweight GOAT is Dominic Cruz. I mean, it is very close, though. I mean, we got the honorable mentions. We got Aljamain Sterling, and we got TJ Dillashaw. Both of these guys do really have a case for being the Bantamweight GOAT. But let's obviously go over what I think is Bantamweight GOAT. Merab versus Dominic Cruz. Honestly, prime Dominic Cruz was unstoppable. I mean, he was fast, he was strong, he had really good wrestling, and he had really good footwork. And I think against a guy like Merab, I think it would have been a very competitive fight. But I would see Dominic Cruz winning this one. I think Dominic Cruz would outstrike Merab on the feet. I think he would be able to give Merab the type of pressure that kind of leaves him weak. And I just don't think Dominic Cruz would be threatened by the takedowns. I mean, Merab is a strong dude, so I think Merab would have probably taken him down. But I mean, Dominic Cruz can defend takedowns. I mean, he can definitely do that. And I think for a guy like Merab to strike with this guy, it would have been pretty bad. So in order for Merab to win this, I think you would just have to go through the takedowns, just keep spamming the wrestling. And I mean, both these guys had really good cardio, but actually, I did say Dominic Cruz was going to win this one. Honestly, I might say Merab would win this. Like, prime for prime, I think Merab would win this. Merab is just a nightmare matchup for anybody. And I just don't trust Dominic Cruz's takedown defense. He hasn't really faced that many wrestlers. Maybe I'm just being a casual. There have been some wrestlers, but no, it's just mostly strikers, and he does really well against strikers. But with grapplers like Merab, Merab just shuts down anybody striking. And I think Merab would have probably overwhelmed Dominic Cruz. So, honestly, prime for prime, I mean, Merab is just so good right now. Like, this man is just shutting down the best of the best in bantamweight, and it's clear, like, his style is just something very hard to beat. Like, you need to, like, it's really hard. Like, Umar was doing good, but, I mean, that was against a short notice injured Merab, and I think in a rematch where he has a full camp and he's injury free, I mean, Merab would still beat Umar. Just because Umar probably just can't catch up. You can't just keep. He will just keep getting pressured like that. I mean, rounds 1 and 2 were pretty close still. In rounds 3, 4, and 5, which is domination by Merab. I think Morab is a tough matchup for anybody, and I definitely think he would win it with Dominic Cruz. And for the honorable mentions, I think he would have won too, just because I don't know about Aljamain Sterling. I mean, Aljamain Sterling probably would have been able to defend some of the takedowns, but I just think that Barab's cardio would have probably overwhelmed him. And in my opinion, I'm not saying I think Marab's wrestling is way better than Aljamain Sterling's wrestling. And Marab is just a more go-getting fighter than Aljamain. I think he would have won. If they fought, he would have won. Maybe that's why we didn't fight. But honestly, they're friends, so I get why we didn't want to fight. For TJ Dillashaw, probably would have been the same thing, honestly. Spam the takedowns. Marab's style was a nightmare for anyone in the division. I mean, after what he did to Umar, it's clear this man is just not gonna get stopped by anyone in bantamweight anytime soon. I mean, a lot of people are thinking Peter Yan might win in the rematch. I'm probably one of the only people who's thinking that Peter Yan will get dominated again. Sean O'Malley has no chance. I'd say the person who had the best chance was probably Davison Figueiredo, but even that, I think he would have still lost. But yeah, I just think Merab would have beat anyone. I think he would have beat Dominic Cruz in his prime. And maybe it's just the casual in me. Maybe I don't recognize Dominic Cruz in his prime. But it's just that Dominic Cruz's style doesn't really work against Merab, you know? The whole footwork, the whole dancing around, all that type of stuff. It's like, it probably would have confused Merab, but Merab would have probably just pressured and just kept the takedowns. I think the takedown threat would have probably ruined Dominic Cruz's striking. And same with TJ Dillashaw. For Aljamain Sterling, I think it would have just been what happened with Mosvar. He would just wrestle and he would just outpoint Aljamain to a decision. Anyways, next, this is my favorite one, man. Ilia Topuria versus Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo obviously is the featherweight GOAT. I was gonna put honorable mentions for Volkanovski and Holloway because honestly they both beat Jose Aldo, and they have multiple title defenses, and they made really good legacies at featherweight. But we saw how Ilia Topuria beat them. Granted, it was an older, probably not prime. I wouldn't say Max Holloway wasn't in his prime. He wasn't in his prime. He wasn't in his prime, but he was still very, very good. For Volkanovski, I wouldn't say he was out of his prime, but just that he just got knocked out, which means he was probably out of his prime. But it's very close. Like, these guys were still very much at the top of their performance. For Jose Aldo, I mean, Jose Aldo was still pretty good for a guy who's over 40. I mean, allegedly. And prime Jose Aldo was something else. This man was destroying motherfuckers left and right. He was beating up everyone in the featherweight division. This man was undefeated for 10 years. And, I mean, Conor McGregor knocked him out. But there's a reason why we didn't see that rematch, bro. I think Jose Aldo would have beat Conor McGregor in the rematch. I think Jose Aldo just didn't have the right night in that fight. And it was just Conor McGregor's night. But in the rematch, Jose Aldo would have beat Conor McGregor. Prime Jose Aldo, the leg kicks would have destroyed Ilia Topuria's leg. I think it would have just been true. I mean, we saw how, Ilia Topuria is just really good, and I think he probably would have tried to resort to the wrestling. I think Jose Aldo would have defended Ilia Topuria's takedowns. I mean, Ilia Topuria is a strong guy, but Jose Aldo's takedown defense is something else. If Merab couldn't take him down, then I don't think Ilia Topuria is. And plus, Jose Aldo has power. He has the leg kicks. He has really good striking, which honestly would have given Ilia Topuria a lot of trouble. I mean, Max was piecing Ilia Topuria up in their fight before he got knocked out. And then Volkanovski was doing really well with the jab and the kicks before he got knocked out. Ilia Topuria tends to leave himself open to kicks. You know, his head movement is pretty good to evading strikes, but it also leaves him vulnerable to kicks. And since he's in a boxer stance, he's vulnerable to leg kicks. And it's just that Jose Aldo's style just happens to be Ilia Topuria's weakness. I think prime for prime, Jose Aldo would have knocked out Ilia Topuria. And I just, a lot of people forget. They forget, man. Jose Aldo in his prime was someone different, man. It was something different. and it would have been a good fight. I just don't see Ilia Topuria really threatening him with a takedown. He would have probably shot for a takedown, but Jose Aldo would have defended it. I mean, he has really good takedown defense. So, prime for prime, Jose Aldo wins. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe Ilia Topuria is the new generation, but Jose Aldo was destroying motherfuckers left and right. He was on his King Von mode before Conor McGregor came along. So, exactly. Yeah. Next, age old question. Islam, current champ. Lightweight GOAT. Khabib. I mean, it's tough. I would probably, in my opinion, I think Islam kind of does have a case for the lightweight GOAT. And I mean, there's still very good lightweight GOATs as well. I mean, I'd say two honorable mentions would probably be Frankie Edgar and Benson Henderson. But the reason why I put Khabib on here is because Khabib had the same amount of title defenses, but he was also undefeated. And frankly, he did have a better resume than Benson and Frankie Edgar. And I mean, you can also put BJ Penn, but honestly, BJ Penn's competition back then was not that good. So that's why I don't give him that. But Khabib versus Islam, this would have been a tough one. I mean, I think Khabib would have won. I mean, we saw. I keep saying, I mean, I'm tired. As you can clearly tell, I'm just not. I'm like speaking a lot, but enough yapping. Islam is weak when it comes to the pressure wrestling. I mean, we saw this with Arman. Arman was aggressively wrestling, and at some point, like it started to overwhelm Islam, and that was Arman on short notice. I think Khabib would have probably got outstriked, but I just don't think Islam would have threatened Khabib's wrestling. I think Khabib would have probably just rushed in, just keep trying for the takedown, hold him down. I think he would have taken down Islam. You know, I think this is just one of these big what if fights, these big what if fights, because honestly, both of these guys are really good and they resemble similar styles. But Islam is more of a judo throw kind of guy. He's a guy who has a really good single leg, and he uses a lot of judo throws when it comes to his takedowns. But for Khabib, he has a very good double leg, and he's a really good pressure wrestler, good chain wrestler. And I mean, Islam's a good chain wrestler too, but it's just that Khabib's wrestling was just really good, and he's probably a lot stronger. I think he is stronger than Islam. Yeah, he's strong. He was stronger than Islam. I think he would have out wrestled Islam. I think he would have probably. I mean, this is prime Khabib, which is probably the Khabib that fought Justin Gaethje. I mean, striking wise, Islam would have probably been able to knock out or at least give Khabib some trouble. This would have been a very good war, back and forth. And honestly, I'd give Islam the edge. I think Islam would beat prime Khabib. I think he would outstrike Khabib. I think he would probably get taken down, but I don't think he would have stayed down. And he had really good grappling. He probably would have been able to defend most of the takedowns and strike with Khabib. I mean, Khabib's striking wasn't really that good. Let's face it. This man was getting pieced up by Conor McGregor. He was getting pieced up by Dustin. He was getting pretty much hit with bombs by Justin Gaethje. I mean, this guy uses wrestling a lot to even the fight. Like, he was just mainly wrestling strikers. So, yeah, I think Islam would win this. He's very well-rounded. And although Khabib's wrestling is better, I'd say Islam would have probably outstruck and been able to defend a lot of takedowns, and that would have probably give him that decision. So, settle that there. I think prime Islam beats prime Khabib. Now, I can finally say that Islam, in my opinion, is the lightweight GOAT, but only because of title defenses. In terms of resume, there have been better resumes. I say Dustin Poirier's resume is better than Islam's, but just because Islam has 4 title defenses, he's on a huge winning streak, and frankly, he cleared his division. I mean, why not call him the GOAT? Next, we got welterweight. We got Belal Muhammad, the current champ. And we got GSP, the GOAT. I have an honorable mention there, Kamaru Usman. I mean, I wouldn't say Kamaru Usman is the GOAT, but there have been arguments saying that Kamaru Usman is the welterweight GOAT. So I just put him there. In terms of Belal versus GSP, I mean, I think GSP would have beat him. I think he would have outstriked Belal. Belal's striking isn't really. I mean, Bilal's striking is improved, but it's not really good. And compared, like when it comes to GSP, I mean, Bilal's wrestling wouldn't have been a threat to GSP. GSP had really good takedown defense, and this is a prime GSP I'm talking about. So I think GSP would have outstriked Bilal. I think he would have knocked. I think he could have knocked out Bilal. I would go GSP by KO. I mean, GSP was a really good striker. He was super well rounded. His kicks were legendary. He had really good. He had a really good, really good jab, which honestly, I think on the feet he would have destroyed Bilal, and I just don't think Bilal would have threatened GSP on the ground as much. Even if I think he could have taken down GSP. I just don't think he would have submitted him. I think GSP could have submitted Bilal, which is crazy. And then for Kamaru Usman versus Bilal, I mean, they've been calling for that fight. I don't know when Usman's going to fight again, but it's clear it's not going to be anytime soon. So, let's hypothesize. I'm yawning. That's how I know I'm tired. Let's hypothesize. I mean, I think Bilal would have won. I mean, not Prime Usman. Okay, against Prime Usman. I keep forgetting. Against Prime Usman, without the knee problems, he would have beat Bilal easily. He would have outstriked and out wrestled Bilal easily. I mean, the Usman disrespect is crazy, you know? Like, Bilal disrespected Usman, like, in his prime. Like, bro, Usman was champion destroying contenders while Bilal was unranked, bro. Like, come on. Come on, Bilal. You're sitting on Usman. He would have destroyed you in his prime. I mean, Bilal's really good. I just think that he won't be champion for much longer. And I think Usman in his prime would have beat Bilal easily. If I were to say, I'd say Usman by very dominant decision. I don't think he would have knocked out or submitted Bilal, but he would have definitely ragdolled him for 5 rounds. So 50-45 Usman against Bilal. And that's prime Usman I'm talking about. Next, we got Dricus Du Plessis, current champ, versus the GOAT, Anderson Silva. I was going to put Izzy, but we already saw how that happened. And I know that's not Prime Izzy, but I think Prime Izzy would have still lost anyways. The man was getting beat up by Kelvin Gastelum for 2 rounds. So, in my opinion, I think Dricus Du Plessis beats Anderson Silva. I've been giving this to the GOATs a lot more, but I think Dricus beats Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva was getting ragdolled on the ground by Chael Sonnen, and I think Dricus would probably, I don't know. Anderson Silva is a really good counter striker. He's really good. He has a really good striker. I just think he would have got overwhelmed by DDP. I think he would have probably just taken him down, just keep walking him down, and I think he would have overwhelmed him. And DDP has good power. And we saw with Chris Weidman, it's like if Anderson Silva gets caught, it's like you can get knocked out. I think DDP would have destroyed Anderson Silva. People stay disrespecting DDP. His style is goofy. He looks like he doesn't even know what he's doing. But it freaking works. This man has a chin like God. He has power that... He's like a fucking Viltrumite when it comes to that shit. Like, he's like Superman. That power is so good. Like, he's beating motherfuckers up, bro. He broke Robert Whitaker's teeth. He broke Sean Strickland's nose. I mean, this man can hit hard. And I think Anderson Silva, for the showboat, for the type of guy, you know, he would probably got caught by DDP. DDP would have pulled some random ass shit, just do some weird ass blitz. Anderson Silva's like, what the fuck? And then he gets caught. Caught on the chin, he would have got knocked out. I think Dricus would have ragdolled Anderson Silva. And I'm not disrespecting him. It's just that Anderson Silva was getting beat by Chael Sonnen for 4 rounds before we pulled out that submission. I'm just saying. Do you think Chael Sonnen is better than Dricus? Let's be for real. Obviously he is, because he's undefeated. Never lost a round. Chael Sonnen, 49-0. Next, we got light heavyweight. Now, obviously the light heavyweight GOAT is Jones, but I wanted to put an honorable mention. I don't want to disrespect DC. DC has a hell of a resume at light heavyweight. The only guy he's lost to in light heavyweight is Jones. And Jones was pumping steroids both of those fights, and DC was way older and way shorter than Jones. I think prime for prime, I think Alex Pereira would have lost to John Jones. John Jones at heavyweight right now, you know, I say this and people call me crazy. I think right now, heavyweight Jones versus heavyweight Pereira, I think heavyweight Pereira would win. It's clear Jones is just a lot slower, and honestly, he didn't look so impressive in that Stipe fight. I think Jones is just really slow, and he doesn't have that much power. And I think Alex Pereira is just way too fast, way too technical. And although Jones could have taken him down, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jones is a good wrestler. It's just that at heavyweight, Pereira's a big guy. And Jones really only has ragdolled people with either no wrestling or we're just a lot smaller than him. So, but light heavyweight Jones, prime Jones, oh, he would have beat Alex. He would have beat Alex Pereira, and I'd say it would have been a fairly competitive fight. But I think he would have just taken him to the ground and submitted him. And so I'd go Jones by submission easily for light heavyweight prime Jones because Pereira just doesn't. I mean, it's not like Pereira has no ground game, but Pereira's ground game isn't really like stellar. And against a guy like Jones, who has probably really whose biggest strength is grappling, he would have lost. And same with DC. Prime DC would have ragdolled Alex Pereira. I'm sorry, this man was, and he would probably. I don't want to say he would take a hit from Alex Pereira, but I mean the guy has a chin. This man was taking bombs from Rumble and Derek Lewis, bro. This man was just taking bombs like it was nothing. He got sent flying across the octagon by Rumble Johnson, and then he submitted him. I think DC size would have been a problem. He would have wrestled the hell out of Alex Pereira. He would have Dan Henderson him. He would have ragdolled him and submitted him. And it's just that Alex Pereira is in an era of light heavyweight where there's not really that many wrestlers. I mean, a lot of people say this. Ankalaev honestly isn't really a good wrestler. I don't think he's gonna wrestle Alex Pereira. I think he's gonna strike. Alex Pereira is. I want to say he's lucky, but he's definitely blessed because he's in an era of light heavyweight with no wrestlers. I mean, I'd say the real better wrestler the really good wrestler in that division would probably be someone like Yan or Krylov. I guess like Yan or Krylov would be counting as like people who have really good grappling. And Yan was definitely out grappling Pereira in a lot of the exchanges, but obviously on the feet he was getting beat up. But I mean, Alex Pereira, he's just really good. He's a really good striker, and I just think that Jones, prime light heavyweight Jones, would have definitely be afraid of the striking. He would respect the striking, and I think Alex Pereira could have knocked out prime DC or prime light heavyweight Jones. It's just that they would probably just shoot a takedown or try to submit him, anyways. And I mean, Jones is really good at defending shots, but Alex Pereira is also really good at striking. So you never know. You never know. But I wouldn't see Alex Pereira winning at all against light heavyweight Prime Jones and light heavyweight Prime DC. That's just true. Next, we got Jones, current champion. I forgot to. Okay, I have Jones, but there's obviously another champion, which I would call the real champion, and it's Tom Aspinall. Now, obviously with Tom Aspinall, he's not on here, and I don't know why I forgot him. We're gonna use the picture that I have of Tom Aspinall there. He's gonna be there in the honorable mention. I mean, he's not gonna be an honorable mention, but he is the champ. John Jones. Let's go with John Jones first because he's also champ too. Maybe he doesn't deserve to be, but he is still technically the champ. And this is champs versus goats. There just happens to be two champs. So we're gonna do for each. For Jones against Stipe, we did see him fight Stipe, but Prime Stipe, I think Prime Stipe would have beat John Jones. I mean, Prime Stipe was really fast. He had really good power. He was a really good boxer, and in the terms of those pressure boxing styles, Jones has a weakness against them. His boxing defense isn't really that good, and we saw this against Dominic Reyes. We saw this against Gustafsson. And even like Stipe was landing some good hits on John Jones in the second and third round. It's just like if 43-year-old Stipe is doing that to you, it's like imagine what a prime Stipe would do. I think prime Stipe could have knocked out Jones. And we're talking about the current state. Before I was talking about prime light heavyweight Jones. Honestly, Stipe would have beat both. He would have beat light heavy. He would have beat light heavyweight Jones, and he would have beat heavyweight Jones. And that's top prime Stipe I'm talking about. Obviously, the Stipe in UFC 309 could give less of a fuck. He was just there for a paycheck. He looked like a pile of he looked like that he hasn't he looked like a 43-year-old, that's for sure. He looked like someone who hasn't fought in 4 years. And it's sad he got disrespected like that, pulled out of a and then it's nice that he's retired and he finally got what he deserved with that retirement. But I mean, Prime Stipe would have beat John Jones. And for honorable mention, Francis Ngannou. Now that's a fight I still want to see happen. But if we're talking about current state, I think Francis Ngannou beats John Jones. John Jones' wrestling is really good, but Francis Ngannou has leveled up and evolved a lot. And we're talking about prime Francis Ngannou, which is probably when he was champion. I mean, he was definitely ragdolling Cyril Gane when it came to the ground. He was wrestling the hell out of him. And John striking is really good too. I just think with that power, with the strength, I think John Jones would have definitely gotten knocked out at some point. And but Francis Ngannou, he's a big guy and he's a very strong guy. I just think that John Jones wouldn't have a chance. And this is stylistically, like legacy wise, like I don't know why people say like, oh, John Jones is the best. He's the best person. He's the GOAT. He has the GOAT resume, so he would beat Francis Ngannou. But we're looking at styles here. John Jones at heavyweight is slow. He's not as strong. He has good grappling, but we haven't seen him get tested. And honestly, a lot of heavyweight contenders would probably make a competitive fight against Jones. Jones is just old now. He's old. He's definitely not who he used to be. The heavyweight bulk is weighing down him a lot because all that weight gain is just slowing him down. You know? And it's like when you combine those things, you just have a shadow of Jones, and that's why he didn't look that good against Stipe. Because honestly, he's kind of like the same situation with Stipe. He's just getting slower. He's not really in his prime anymore. But I guess Stipe was an easy fight. Like, thank God John Jones isn't fighting Tom Aspinall. Because he would get fucking killed by him. Tom Aspinall would have bum rushed him. And John Jones wouldn't be able to do anything. Because, I mean, heavyweight power is different. And honestly, I don't trust John Jones' chin. Let's go with Tom Aspinall now. This little guy right here. I'd say, well, he would actually be up here. Actually. Yeah, he would be up here. Keep doing that. I don't want to do that. Yeah, he'd be up here. But Tom Aspinall, now, against Prime Stipe, honestly, Tom Aspinall would have beat him. I mean, Tom Aspinall's just really fast, and I just think that it would have been a competitive fight. Against Prime Stipe was good, but he wasn't that good. And against John Jones, who probably doesn't have as much power, it would be different. But Tom Aspinall does, and Stipe gets hit a lot. I think he would have got knocked out by Tom Aspinall. Francis Ngannou, on the other hand, it's a bit tricky. I think, in my opinion, Francis Ngannou it would be a competitive fight for sure. It's just that this would be a fight of who would get knocked out first. Because in terms of skill, Tom Aspinall is way superior compared to Francis Ngannou. In terms of wrestling, Tom Aspinall's better. In terms of speed, Tom Aspinall's better. In terms of grappling, Tom Aspinall is better. You can say even in striking, they're pretty like almost in the same tier. They're both really good strikers and they have good power. I just think speed beats precision beats power, and speed beats well, I don't know what Conor McGregor said, but I mean, it would have been a good fight, but honestly, I could have seen I could have seen we could have seen Tom Aspinall kind of pull an upset. Maybe I think he would submit Francis Ngannou. He would probably take him down and submit him. I think people just sleep on Tom Aspinall. He's just ragdolling everyone in the heavyweight division, and I just think that he would ragdoll even the primes of Stipe and Francis Ngannou. He would have definitely beat prime John Jones too in light heavyweight, just because he was a light heavyweight. Heavyweight Jones now, oh, he would definitely beat him. I mean, This is styles we're talking about. We're not talking about legacy. Who gives a fuck about legacy? It's about who's the best heavyweight. In terms of who I think is the best heavyweight right now, it's definitely Tom Aspinall. I mean, John Jones knows that Tom Aspinall's a tough matchup. He's a dangerous guy. Tom Aspinall can knock anyone out. I mean, we've seen him knock people out who were knocking other people out. I mean, he knocked out Sergey Pavlovich in 1 minute without a training camp. Against John Jones, it's just like at some point you just gotta accept like John Jones isn't the same guy anymore. He's slower. We saw that in the Stipe fight. The Stipe fight exposed him, and with the long layoffs he's taking between fights, he's only getting older. While Tom Aspinall is getting better. Tom Aspinall will beat John Jones. So honestly, in my opinion, I like John Jones, and if I were John Jones, I would be thinking about retirement. Let go of the belt. Let Tom Aspinall have his legacy. Let go of the belt. You made your legacy. Leave. Because we don't need you to hold up a division. But, I mean, based on what Dana White's thinking and doing, I mean, I don't think that fight's going to happen. I think Tom Aspinall's probably going to get upgraded to undisputed. And John Jones will get stripped. So, we'll see. Anyways, that's all for this video. I'm tired. I don't know why I recorded so late. But I was gonna make a prediction for the fight night this Saturday, but honestly, I probably won't. Um, I will make a prediction video for. I don't think I will, honestly. Like I want to make predictions for every fight card, but just like it's about time and patience and energy. I will make. I'll probably make. I'll definitely make a prediction for UFC 313 though. Don't get me wrong, I will. I'm going to Peru from March 1st to March 8th, so I will release it earlier. I'll release it before the Manel Kape fight night. So I'll release it around that time, and then it'll be fair game from there. But I probably won't be releasing any predictions for UFC Seattle or for the Vegas fight nights either. Anyways, catch you on the next one.